Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life of the Mundane, and today I'm coming to talk to you about our 4th episode in organizing your paper clutter and getting that together, getting more organized. And today we're going to talk all about homeschool lesson planning, and I'm going to share with you the new system that I have started for this year, kind of what I think about it, how I've switched from a digital online lesson planning to paper, and just kind of share how I've organized that in hopes that it might help you. So let's get started. So as you know, every Wednesday in January, I've just been sharing one different area where you can help kind of take hold of that paper clutter. And you guys can definitely check out that playlist of all of those videos above or below, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of the videos coming forward. But we've talked about, planning with your home management planner, your home binder, your emergency planner. We've talked about your homeschool records and keeping your portfolio, and all of those are great things. But as homeschool moms, we oftentimes struggle with lesson planning. And for the year 2019, my word for the year was simplify. And I really wanted to simplify a lot of areas of my life. So I was using Homeschool Planet, an online lesson planning resource, which, by the way, I love. I love everything about it, and I will probably do a video about it in the future. But if you're looking for an online tool, it is amazing, and it is totally worth like $5 a month for it. But what I was finding with that is that I would lesson plan 2 weeks in advance, but if something happened and I didn't get to lesson planning line, it would just sort of derail our entire week. What I was doing is I was sitting down and I was writing out or typing out every single thing that each individual child, and I have 4 kids that are homeschooled and then 2 little ones, but I was writing out what each individual child would be expected to do every single day, very detailed instructions. And that just took a lot of time. And honestly, in a lot of their things, it was a little bit unnecessary because it was pretty self-explanatory, okay? Just do the next 2 pages or do the next lesson in math, whatever it was. And so I was spending a lot of time doing this, but when I didn't get a chance to sit down and do that lesson planning, it was throwing our whole week off. So this year for 2019, I am trying to simplify my system, and it might still seem complicated, I don't know. But we've been trying it for several weeks now and been really enjoying the flexibility that it gives, the guilt that it takes off of me, and just kind of how the systems work. So I'm going to share with you guys what we're doing. So if you saw my homeschool, or you saw my home management binder, you know that I have fallen in love with these disc-bound systems. This is the Happy Planner. Using this for my lesson planning. Now, I will say eventually I will probably make my own printout sheets and put them in here, but for right now I just wanted to see if writing and keeping the system on paper was going to work for me at all. And so I am really attempting to just make what came with this binder work for me with a few additions, but very, very minimal. And then if I like it, I'll continue to tweak and adjust as always. So, but basically the idea is that I have stopped lesson planning. I have stopped spending a lot of time in advance breaking down each individual task for every single day. But I still wanted to keep a record of all of that, and if I don't have some kind of plan, I just wander around aimlessly, and sometimes we get a ton done in one subject and barely touch another, so I really do need a plan, but I needed to simplify it. So here's kind of what we have done this year. Each kid has an assignment book, which is just a fancy way of saying, the quarter 50-cent spiral ring notebooks that they sell at Walmart. And inside, I have put a list of their tasks that they need to do. Now, when I first started this, I started putting down a daily task that they needed to do, which I found really I was spending the same amount of time, if not more, because I was doing it each night. Instead of doing it 2 weeks, in advance, I was spending so much time handwriting out everything, and it was definitely not simplifying it. So I threw that out the window, and we have started using where I put the entire week's worth of assignments on one page. Now, this is not breaking down every little itty bitty thing. All this is saying is, for language arts, I want you to master your sight words flashcards that I've given you for this week. I want you to do pages this through this. All of that stuff just kind of written out, really bullet point, honestly. And then I have bonus work for each subject, which I'll explain in just a second. But basically I have all of that down here, not divided into days at all. And then I have read aloud for 20 minutes, and I have checkboxes. And then they can choose how they want to break that up. Now, For my kindergartner, I do pretty much lead what she's going to do each day, but I get to base it off of her attitude, her behavior, how she's handling things that day. Is she really absorbing stuff? If she's not, I can adjust back. So I like the fact that it gives me a little bit of flexibility as far as how much to do that day. For my older kids, it's been a great opportunity for them to sit down and go, okay, I need to get 4 lessons, or I need to get 6 lessons done in math this week. So if I do 2 lessons a day, then I can actually be done with math by Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, and then I can have Friday off. And so giving them that flexibility and freedom, I think, is a great tool for training them for time management, task management in the future. And it takes a little bit of pressure off of me, because as homeschool moms, we know that days never go as we plan. And some days our kids are just on it, and we can just fly through stuff. And getting a couple extra lessons done in something, or getting, extra research done, is no big deal. But getting these, other days, getting 1 page done is like pulling teeth. And so I feel like it gave me the flexibility to kind of gauge accordingly. Now, bonus work. We have bonus work for each of their subjects. Now, they have the opportunity to do additional work. Now, my kids are kind of odd in the sense that they absolutely love learning, and they eat it up, and they cannot wait to do extra work oftentimes. Now, not to say we do not have our fights at the table about, not wanting to do this lesson in math, or not wanting to work on sight word review, or whatever it is. But they do oftentimes like to get to do extras, especially when it comes to anything on the computer or the tablet. So I've listed all the things they need to get done, and then I've listed bonus work on how far they can go. What I wanted to stop was I would have certain kids that would get on reading eggs, and they would do their first 2 lessons in reading eggs, and that's what they were really supposed to get done for the day. And then they would jump way ahead, and they would sit there forever and monopolize this tablet and do 10 lessons in reading eggs, but they still hadn't finished their other work that they needed to do for language arts. So the idea here is they're not allowed to go into any bonus work until everything in that category is done. So they have to finish all of their language arts for the entire week before they can start jumping into bonus work and going above and beyond. It helps keep them focused and keep them doing what they actually need to be doing, but still giving them that freedom of flexibility within tasks. So you might be thinking, well, that was math and language arts. I have some reading on there, and then I have some of their extras, like if they're working on art. My son's working on an engineering book, so I kind of have pages that he needs to get done in that done for the week, but that's not a lot. What about all the extra stuff? So that stuff is all the stuff we do together. Because we homeschool 4 kids and we have 2 babies, we try to group as many things together as possible to maximize their time with mom and to help get to the point where we can actually accomplish it all. So I have a list in the back of my planner, and each week I write up a new sheet, and I say how far we need to get in science, how far we need to get in history, what we're going to be covering in morning time, what I want to cover with our morning time, what PE they need to get done, what Bible they need to get done, things like that. These are all things that we work on all together, so there's no need for me to write it individually in everybody's notebook. But I have it back here, and it just kind of helps me keep on task. Now, if we don't stick to this plan perfectly, that's okay. I have lots of grace and freedom to myself to change things up if needed, and that's fine. That's part of the blessing of homeschooling. But it gives me a little bit of a direction to go. This list and that list take me maybe 30 minutes on Saturday or Sunday night to throw together. It's not nearly as involved as writing out every individual thing. That's kind of how I do my lesson planning as far as writing it out in advance. Now, what do I use my homeschool notebook for? Obviously, it's not just for a list of the weekly tasks that we need to accomplish that week as far as everyone else, but I also wanted to have good records. Now, keeping these notebooks where everyone's got different pages, and it's just not a good idea for keeping records. So I use the monthly spread to write out anything that happens outside of the house. So if they have a sports activity, a field trip, something like that they're doing, I keep track of it on this big planner. The section on the monthly planner, this is one of the months we haven't got to obviously yet, but I have one here where I write out the notes. So we have a YouTube playlist every single month with songs that we're using currently during our morning time, and we incorporate a playlist of YouTube videos of different learning and review concepts that we're working on, and I post that every month so that you're welcome to use it or use it for inspiration, tweak it, or just use it as is. And so I love sharing that with you guys. But I have on the monthly planner, I write down all of those tasks that take us outside of the home, therapy, anything like that. But on this note section here, I keep a detailed list of every single video that we're covering and kind of what that incorporates, what they're learning from that. So one of the things in this month's videos is learning the 7 continents. And so I list those out so that I can show a record of what we're learning. And then in my journaling, I just write, we watched our YouTube playlist. But at the beginning of the month, I have written down what that playlist actually entails. Same thing for our morning time. On the weekly sheets, I kind of write out a detailed list of everything we covered during morning time, and then just at the top, write morning time, because otherwise it would just probably be too much. Come to the weekly pages, which I don't know if you can see. So with the weekly pages, what I do is it's divided into 3 sections, so you can kind of have a morning, afternoon, evening, and you could definitely divide it like that for sure. But what I chose to do instead was to put things that we did with everyone in the top category, things that the boys did, and then things that the girls did, and divide it like that. And what I've decided to do instead of lesson planning in advance and writing it this way is to use this more like a journal. So I write down things that they actually get done. So they have all week to do those things, but they are going to do different levels on different days. So I sit down and actually write down what they do each time. Now, sometimes I do this at the end of the week if it's been a really busy week, but ideally I'm just have it on the table while we're doing school, and I can just kind of jot it down after we've gotten done. It also helps me to visually look at it and go, okay, is that enough for the day, or do we need to add something else? And to make sure everybody's getting an adequate amount of schoolwork done each day, and nobody's flying under the radar. Pages that we've added to the planner, these were actually originally in my home management binder, so they were a smaller binder, and I just haven't printed them out in the bigger size yet, but they work just fine like this, is having a year at a glance dates. And so it helps me to keep track of what dates are coming up. I can see the whole year in advance. And along those lines, I also have a separate sheet printable that I used for our attendance and keeping track of what days we were present or absent from school. So we have that for our records at the end of the year. Another thing that I like to keep in my homeschool binder, and I would definitely recommend keeping this, guys, in there, is our 10 reasons why we homeschool. I made a video about it, sharing all 10 reasons why we love to homeschool, but having your why in front of you is so, so, so important. It's in my homeschool planner, it's on my bulletin board, in my schoolroom. I get to see it every single day. So those days when I'm just pulling my hair out and wondering if I should just send them to school and just be done with this, I can look over why we're doing what we're doing, and it helps to keep me refocused and on track. So I keep that in there. I also keep my homeschool emergency box ideas. If you've seen that video as well, basically I have a box for those bad days of homeschooling when nothing's going right, but we still want to get some learning done. I have basically my substitute lesson plans is what I call it. I have that box ready to go, but these are a few ideas that are not included in the box that I can jump to easily. I have in here goal sheets for each one of my kids, goals for them for academically, and where I would like them to be by the end of the year. Favorite thing probably that's sort of out of the box is my ideas for little sheet. I have typed out, I've got 2 pages if you can see, and it comes in and out here. I've got 2 pages of ideas of things to do with littles while you're homeschooling. And I love the fact that that's just right there, easy for me to grab for when I need it, whether I'm planning something in advance or whether I'm just grabbing it in the moment. So having papers like that, you can add and take away. You can do this whole system in a binder too. It does not have to be a happy planner by any means, but I do like the convenience and the size of the happy planner. I will say part of my simplifying for this year, my personality is I would usually start out something like this with using different colored pens for different kids, so I didn't have to label anything. I could just use different colors, and I would decorate it with washi tape and stickers and pretty things, and that would bring me a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment in the moment. And then over time, I would lose those colored pens, and I would get frustrated with myself that I hadn't made it look pretty, and I honest to goodness would stop lesson plan. Like I would stop writing it because it wasn't up to the par that I wanted it to be. And so part of simplifying this year is letting go of those expectations on myself. And so I have done this entire planner so far this year in pencil or pen, and that's it. Nothing colorful, nothing fancy. Now there's nothing wrong with that, and honestly I might go to that eventually, but I felt like it was better to start out the expectations at a more reasonable at a reasonable goal, and that I could work my way up to it and give myself the freedom that if one week I want to make my journal look all pretty and fancy, that's great. But then I wouldn't have to feel bad if the rest of it was just kind of plain Jane boring. So I think definitely it depends on your personality and what you like, what you prefer, but I would encourage you to not get so stuck on the method and the prettiness of it all that you can't make it work for you. And know that the way you record things down might change from week to week, and that's okay too. It just takes a while to figure out your system, and it's still record keeping. It's still helping you figure out your groove for what you want to do, and I just encourage you to keep track of those records. It helps in case there was any question as far as what you've been doing in homeschooling, but it also just helps a mom's heart when you feel like you're not getting anywhere or not getting anything done, to be able to look back and say, okay, no, we did do all of these things today. It can be really encouraging. I will also say I do journal in there very specific things that aren't planned, but that did happen. So if we spent time baking in the kitchen with my daughter or my son, I will write that in there because it's definitely part of learning and school and life skills. I will write in there that they help change the oil in the car or something like that. And that's part of the reason why I like this too, is because there were a lot of things that my kids were doing in addition to what I had lesson planned out, but that was never getting recorded. And so I liked kind of just having a record of what they had done. I hope this has been helpful. I would love to hear how you do lesson planning. Have you ever used Homeschool Planet before? Or do you write things on paper? Which one are you? And drop that in the comments. Love to give this video a like if it's been helpful, and share it. If you like videos like this, like I said, I post videos every Wednesday and Saturday on making the most of the little moments in homemaking, home management, parenting, and everything in between. I hope you guys have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.